Hello everyone and welcome to SEW-EURODRIVE's How-To series. We're going to be discussing how to maintain and take care of your product. So let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about the SEW-EURODRIVE TorqueLoc shaft installation system. This proprietary system enables you to be able to install your equipment flawlessly. Before we talk about the TorqueLoc and how to install it, I want to talk about why the TorqueLoc has such a great advantage over a lot of other types of shafts. When you're mounting a gearbox to a piece of equipment such as a conveyor, it's important that you have the right fit. And a lot of shafts will do that for you. But one of the problems you have is that many shafts require a very tight tolerance, and that requires you to have the right equipment and the right shaft. And disassembly and assembly can be quite problematic at times. Where the TorqueLoc rises above these styles of shafts is it allows you to use a shaft that maybe isn't quite at the tolerance that you're looking for. And how does it accomplish this? It's through this torque bushing. This torque bushing is designed to take up the distance between the shaft that's in the gearbox and the shaft of the customer's equipment. And it's going to be clamped on together using a shrink disc. And we'll see that more specifically when we do the assembly. So before we begin actually assembling the TorqueLoc system, it's super important that we prep everything properly. And by prepping, I'm referring to keeping everything super clean. Any remnant of grease or oil can cause catastrophic problems, and you won't be able to get your customer shaft to be able to install properly where it won't slip. So let's go ahead and talk about the components and how to put them together. The first thing that we're going to look at is our demo shaft that we have here. Now this would represent a customer's shaft. And now customer shafts can come in a couple of different designs. You can see this doesn't have a shoulder on it. Some customer shafts actually have a shoulder where the system would slide up to. It's very important before you begin doing the work that you know where your gearbox is going to land so that you are able to identify where that false shaft is going to go. We're going to go ahead and install it just for demonstration purposes about right here on this shaft. So to begin with, what we're going to do is we're going to grab the brass bushing, and this brass bushing is going to slide onto the end of the shaft. And once we have it positioned, we're going to grab our clamping ring. Now when you're putting this clamping ring on, you'll notice that there is an opening here and there's an opening on the clamping ring here. You want to make sure that those two are opposite of each other. Now that I have that installed, I'm ready to go ahead and put my Allen wrench on there and tighten it up just a little bit. Don't worry, we're going to do a final torque here in a little bit. But right now we're just trying to hold everything together for assembly. You can see that it's firmly in place. We're ready to go ahead and install the shaft into the gearbox. Now that we have our shaft positioned, we're ready to go ahead and put our shrink disc in place. You always want to make sure that your bolts are facing out when you slide your shrink disc on. Finally, let's go ahead and put our torque bushing into place. You're going to slide that in as far as it'll go by hand, and then you're going to give it a few taps with a hammer to make sure that it's seated. Now that we have everything put together, it's time for us to start tightening the fasteners. And the first bolt that we're going to torque is the clamping ring bolt. Now, SEW-EURODRIVE conveniently laser etches the amount of torque that you need to apply to each bolt on the TorqueLoc system. So for the clamping ring, it has on there the torque that you need. And so let's go ahead and use our torque wrench that I already have set to that value, and let's get torquing. So now we've got that torqued properly. It's time for us to move to the front where we have our shrink disc. Now the shrink disc is unique in the sense that our mind tells us you should go across from each other when you're tightening. That's the worst thing that you can do. It doesn't matter which bolts you start with, but you need to always go in a circular pattern. You can go clockwise or you can go counterclockwise, but always go in a circular pattern. The second thing that you need to know about is that you should only be moving about 60 degrees with each turn. Before we get to the torque, we're just going to go ahead and get these fasteners hand tight using an Allen wrench. 60 degrees is about a quarter of a turn or so. All right, now that these are all hand tight, it's time for us to torque these bolts. Just like the clamping ring, this shrink disc has a laser etched value for the amount of torque that we need to tighten these bolts to. So I'm going to go ahead and have my torque wrench here. It's set to that value. I've got the proper tool for it. And let's go ahead and start tightening, again in a circular pattern and about 60 degrees at a time. It may take a few passes, but be patient because it's worth it. You want this to be done right and you want everything to be aligned properly. All right, so we've got everything torqued to the right spec. Now it's time for us to do a little bit of inspection. The first thing that you should look at is to see that the shrink disc is evenly spaced. If it's not, that means you haven't torqued something properly. What we're talking about here is the two halves should be parallel to each other instead of crooked like this. That's very easy to tell just by looking at it with your eye. Some other things that you need to do. Just give it a general look around. Is everything back where it should be? Does everything look good? And have you done everything based on the specifications that we have when it comes to our operating instructions and our technical specifications? If you've checked all of that, it's time to re-energize your system, to follow your lockout tagout procedures, and start your equipment running again. If you're interested in learning more about SEW-EURODRIVE's components, products, or solutions, please go to SEW-EURODRIVE.com. Together, we drive the world.